please.
Yes, my name is Mats J. Larsson. I'm representing the newspaper Dagens Nyheter in Stockholm. I have a question for Mr. Jens Stoltenberg. Hundreds of demonstrators are gathered outside the conference building protesting against that the Ethiopian Prime Minister is being invited to this conference. I would like to have your comment on that, and also if you have taken the opportunity to talk about human rights with him. And I also have a question for Mr. Banki-Moon about your view on the human rights situation in the Ogaden province that is being put by the demonstrators outside the building. Thank you.
Human rights is an important part of the dialogue we have with many countries, also of course with Ethiopia, and we have discussed human rights on several occasions. I also mentioned for Prime Minister Meles the question related to Swedish journalists. So I believe that the best way of having a dialogue on human rights is to have a dialogue. And therefore I think it's very important that we meet, that we discuss, and I also believe that to promote economic cooperation, to promote the development, for instance, of cooperation within the energy sector is in itself important for human rights, partly because alleviating poverty is perhaps is in itself very important to promote human rights. But in addition, I believe that trade, investments, economic cooperation contributes to more open societies, and thereby also contributes to the improvement of political human rights. So for me there is actually a very close relationship between the efforts Norway is doing in many countries and all over the world to promote economic development, economic cooperation, and a dialogue on human rights.
Ethiopia is one of very important countries, not only in the region but in the African Union, in promoting peace and security and also development. With regard to the situation in Ogaden, United Nations has been working very closely with the Ethiopian authorities in two areas. First, helping those people who are suffering from extreme humanitarian difficulties. We have been sending missions, and we have been providing necessary humanitarian assistance. Of course, in the course of all this, in the course of democratization, in the course of all this addressing many political issues, we have been discussing and raising these human rights issues, not only with Ethiopia but all throughout the world, wherever the human rights are not properly protected and promoted. Human rights is one of the top priorities, one of the three pillars of the United Nations Charter. As the Secretary General of the United Nations, I have not spared any efforts to first discuss with the leaders and speak with the leaders to ensure that the human rights are properly protected.
Thank you. This ends this press conference. Thank you to the panel. Thank you for coming.